Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What is happening, everybody? Man, I hope you guys are doing great today. My day is going just a-okay. Yes, it is. So what's happening, man? And you know what? Today's a great day, right? Another great day in recovery, another great day in sobriety, another great day in spirituality, another great day in this cosmic world of positive, energetic frequencies that we live in, right? Well, go figure, man. So it's a great day, man. It is. You know what I mean? And it's awesome. It's awesome to be awake today. It's awesome to be able to be here and share a message with you guys, man. So check this out. Before we get started with this segment of my video podcast, please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers and for those of us who are bound down to those struggles that keep us chained down, man. So whatever that may be, you know, where this is going out to you guys. So please, if you would, join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, man. Well, there you go. Well, let's get going with today's episode, man. Check this out. You know, again, one of my things that I like to do in my video podcast and the messages that I like to bring to you guys are just, you know, things that I run into in my journey. You know what I mean? Things that I feel or something that is tugging at my heart strongly to talk about. And today there's a term that I've been listening to the last few times, probably the last 3-4 weekends that I've gone and took in a couple of or not actually. Well, I've gone in once, and then the rest of them I stood in online in the seminar, in the sermons, to listen to what they had to say. And this is over messages from the City Tribe down in San Antonio, Texas, downtown. There's a place called City Tribe Church, and they're great people out there. They're always sharing wonderful messages, and you know, it's this term that they've been using, and they've used it quite a man since, gosh, I always hear it in people's conversations and the things that they want to teach and stuff like that, and not only there but in other places. You know what I mean? I hear the term in I attend sometimes I attend Buddhist teachings, and I just was there on Saturday at the Buddhist teachings, and over at the Roshi Koshikai place in San Antonio, Texas, and you know, they're good people there too. You know what I mean? So you know, my beliefs is that I don't believe that any one religion is supreme over the other. You know what I mean? And that's just the way I think, and the way I understand the cosmic energies of the divine matrix. You know what I mean? That to me, I believe that every religion is trying to be entombed with that divine matrix, with that divine one. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that they all have different golden nuggets to give. So I don't put one religion over the other or anything like that, right? So, you know, going back to the thing that we want to talk about is that this term is used in many of those different religions, right? And different, you know, people who study things to help in recovery, to help in spirituality, to help in moving your life forward in a positive sense, right? And the term I'm referring to is the term that is the word cultivate. So that is the word that I want to talk to you guys about today, is the word cultivate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up you know, see what the definition is on cultivate, see what they have to say, and to see if you guys agree. You know what I mean? Because everybody has an interpretation. Everybody's interpretation of words, whatever that may be, is a little bit different. Why? Because everybody experiences those words in different ways. So you have your own interpretation. You know what I mean? So here we go. Let me remove these and replace them with these, and just do a little reading for you. See what we can gather. See what kind of see where we go with this. You know what I mean? See if it resonates with you guys, and see what happens. So the thing that I pulled up here is check this out. This one's off of the AI summary. So I'm just going to read what the AI summary has to say, and then we'll go on to a definition of one of these website dictionary things. And so the AI says, to cultivate philosophical understanding, consider these steps. Engage in critical thinking to question assumptions and beliefs. Read widely across different philosophical traditions and texts. Reflect on personal experiences and how they relate to philosophical concepts. Goes on to say, discuss ideas with others to gain diverse perspectives and insights. It says, write about your thoughts to clarify and deepen your understanding, and to apply philosophical principles to everyday life to see their relevance. And I like that. That's pretty cool. I like what the OAI came out with. And let me go over here to this other site. And okay, see this site here is from vocabulary.com. And what they have to say is, to cultivate is to nurture and help grow. It says farmers cultivate crops, fundraising professionals cultivate donors, and celebrities cultivate their images. It says when you cultivate something, you work to make it better. Originally, the word referred only to crops that required tilling, but the meaning has widened. No matter what is being cultivated, the word implies a level of care that is reminiscent of gardening. Sometimes friendships come naturally, and sometimes you have to cultivate them. And it goes on to say, to cultivate anything requires an attention to detail and understanding of what it is being cultivated, and a lot of patience. And so that is, to me, pretty cool, I guess. I mean, let me see if I can pull up another one. Give me a second. Right here. Okay, we're going to go down to... We'll see what the Cambridge.org has to say about Cultivate. And what they have written down here is... It has... Let's see. Cultivate. It says it's a verb, and it's to prepare land and grow crops on it, or to grow a particular crop. It says to create a new condition by directed effort. To cultivate is also to try to become friendly with someone because that person may be able to help you. It says simple changes in rice cultivation can reduce methane emissions. It's just the sentence that they got. It's how they always put sentences to kind of help you with the definition. It says if you cultivate a relationship, you make a special effort to develop it because you think it might be useful. Okay, so the word cultivate, man, it is it's a verb, right? So it's an action word. And to me, cultivate is a pretty good word, man, to put into what I call my recovery arsenal. And if I could allow myself to cultivate things that are going to be beneficial and helpful in my journey of recovery, spirituality, and positivity, and good karmic energy, well, man, that to me is a no-brainer. Why wouldn't I want to cultivate things like that into my life? You know what I mean? So I believe that there are many different ways to cultivate things into your life, and to cultivate them in a sense to where they will help you in your spiritual journey, where they will help you in that journey of breaking chains of an adversity, of an addiction, of something that has condemned you to this lifestyle of fearful and negative and dark thought process. You know what I mean? How amazing is it that just out of one small word in a vast library of words that that you and I have access to, that one simple word, one simple action word can help you move past adversity, can help you in healing, can help you in clearing your mind, can help you in that little thing that you're stuck in, you know what I mean? Can help clear the toxicity of your life if you put that one word into action. You know what I mean? And to me, I believe that cultivating things into your life, and for me, man, I tell you what, for a long time, I was, like, I mean, I mentioned this a whole lot of times in my videos that, one of the things that I was bound down to in my life and my struggles was always the bondage and those chains of drug addiction, right? And dude, cultivating things into my life that replace those negative and dark thoughts that I had when I was in that addiction, man, to me, it's amazing. To me, it's amazing that just out of doing something so small, but on a repetitive basis, can elevate you out of a situation, can elevate you and project you into your life's paths, that your energies, are there for you to go out and get them, to go out and get in line with them. You know what I mean? I believe, this is just my belief, I believe that you and I have different frequencies, right? I believe that every individual human being on this earth has their own frequency, and that is the frequency of you when you breathe that air in and out. When you breathe air in and out and you speak words with this vibration that comes from your heart, your soul, and your mind, and that sound is so unique that you can do whatever it is that you want in your life and conquer anything and move past any adversity by expressing that sound into the divine matrix of our universe, into the realm of where that sound is known, where that sound is at home, if you will. You know what I mean? Because when we are going through things in our life and we say things and you know, how many times have you been in a situation and you're like, man, God damn, man, if I could just get out of this one, you know what I mean? Just get me out of this. I promise I'll do this, I'll do X, Y, and Z, and yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? And you do them for a little bit. You do them for a week, 2 weeks, a month. And eventually you go back to default. Eventually you go back to the same old thought process. Why? Because that's the world we live in. We live in a world of toxicity. We live in a world of always wanting to be attached to something, always wanting the affirmation. We always want to be acknowledged. You know what I mean? That's what we strive for in our life, is to feel that acceptance of, hey, man, you know what, you're doing a good job, or you're a good person, or I look good in somebody's eyes. You know what I mean? And we like to grab a hold of that emotional feeling, just like we like to grab a hold of different things in our lives. You know what I mean? People, you may be one of them. You know what I mean? Oh no, don't get rid of that because so and so gave it to me. You know what I mean? But you go into the closet and it's freaking packed with all kinds of crap that so and so and so and so and so and so gave you. You know what I mean? Because you have an attachment to this. There's a attachment of an emotional feeling that you don't want to let go. You know what I mean? And those are the types of things I believe that keep us bound down to those chains. Because ultimately, those chains and those things that bound you down, the thing that closes that door and condemns you down into this pit of misery, this pit of depression, this pit of anger, this pit of sadness, this pit of just, I can't do anything right, is ultimately the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It is you are the one who is building those chains. You are the one who is, putting nails into that door that you can't get out of. And that's just it. And it took me a long time to figure that out. You know what I mean? Because I've always thought that I had control. I always thought that, hey, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I'm not a stupid guy. You know what I mean? I know how to make money. I know how to take care of a family. I know how to keep a job. But lo and behold, I wind up homeless and addicted to drugs, and I wind up in the street selling drugs, doing drugs, and just living a lifestyle that wasn't good. You know what I mean? Go figure. You know what I mean? This guy who thought he knew it, and I had a business. I had more than one business. You know what I mean? And throughout my life, I've had quite a few, and I've got degrees, man. I've gone to school. You know what I mean? I've got an associate's degree in computer drafting. I got a bachelor's degree in project management. And go figure, man, because I got this education of running and understanding projects and knowing how to make things happen and prosper out of it. But I can manage the heck out of a project, but I couldn't manage the hell out of my life. You know what I mean? Why? Because I was bound down, because I allowed myself to, get shackled up to something. And a lot of us are like that, man. You know what I mean? And some of us, the shackles go deeper than others. You know what I mean? For some, it's just, for some, it's a binge. For some, it's every other weekend. For some, it's once a year. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, we all have something that when we do it, we know that it's not right, but it continues to happen. And that's where cultivating comes in, man. Cultivating comes in because, like it said, it's the process of allowing things to come into your life to help you. You know what I mean? That is ultimately what cultivating is. Is that, like I said, you're tilling that dirt for that crop, to plant those seeds so that you can grow something. You know what I mean? You may not have this relationship with this friend of yours that's okay, but you know what? You have to work at that. Nobody just wakes up and has a best friend. You know what I mean? That don't happen. What happens is that you meet somebody, you get along with them, you cultivate, you help each other out, and you understand that this is my friend now. He got my back because I got his. And you have that understanding. It's just that nature of humanity, I believe. You know what I mean? It's that nature of that gift, that the divine nature, that divine spiritual energy gives us in the gift of free will. You know what I mean? Because we can all not give a shit and live in this world of misery, right? But for the most part, most of us, man, we give a shit. We give a shit about us, and we give a shit about other people. You know what I mean? And it's and if you didn't, you definitely wouldn't be, moving forward in your life in some sense. You know what I mean? If you feel like you're just this, Debbie Downer, you're always miserable, but you're going to work and paying bills, that means you care. You know what I mean? you care on a smaller scale than somebody who is devoting their life to helping and doing missionaries or whatever. You know what I mean? There's the scale of that is could be very low, very high. But nonetheless, to add cultivation into your life can only be a positive. And I know this to be true because since I've been away from the world of addiction, man, have I cultivated things in my life? Even some of the things that I cultivated into my life, I didn't want to do. I didn't want to cultivate that. I didn't. You know what I mean? I didn't want to cultivate the fact that I had to enter into a treatment center for, 90 days or whatever it was. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be there. You know? I remember the first week I was there, I was like, I was ready to walk out. I was like, man, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? I was like, yes, I don't have a problem. I just got caught with some drugs, went to jail. You know what I mean? I slipped. You know what I'm saying? And I still wanted to go back out because, to be honest with you, I don't lie on my podcast, man. I give you the honest and brutal truth. I love getting high, brother. You know what I mean? That is just who I am. I've done it for so long. I like getting high. But I also do know that when I do, my life starts dwindling down. My life starts going out of control. So because I have that gift of free will, I get to pick and choose what I want to do today. And I know that doing drugs is going to lead my life in a very, very dark and fearful place that I don't want to be at. You know what I mean? So I understand that cultivating can be a little feel like a burden sometimes. But the key is, man, in anything you do in your life, if you want it to prosper, if you want it to be positive, if you want it to get better, it's repetitious. Repetition, doing things on a repetitious basis will start changing that mental thought process. In turn there, your actions of cultivating, my friends, will be just amazing. You know what I mean? And I know this to be true, man, because I've done it. I've lived it. And I only sit here and tell you things on this podcast of things that I've experienced or things that someone else that I know to be true, other maybe true stories from a book or things that we read and just, things like that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and tell you something that I just made up. You know what I mean? I don't do that. You know what I mean? Why would I do that? So I want to share things on this channel that can possibly help somebody else take that first step in doing whatever it is that you want to do. You know what I mean? You don't have to be addicted to anything or whatever like that. But if you're struggling, perhaps in your marriage, you're struggling in your job, you're struggling in just making a simple decision on what to do next in your life. You know what I mean? When you cultivate, and what I mean by this is that if you allow insight from someone else to give you a different perspective on the things that you're deciding, can probably help. You know what I mean? If you dissect the thing that you're having trouble with, perhaps you need to journal it down. Perhaps you need to make a pros and cons list. You know what I mean? You need to weigh out the options to see what's going to benefit you. You know what I mean? Those are the kind of things that you do. Those are the kind of things that you cultivate into those adversities. In turn there, start breaking those chains. In turn there, start making the wise and better decision. And even listening to podcasts that are encouraging and spiritual and have a sense of wanting to help. You know what I mean? You can't go bad with putting in positive and spiritual and good karmic energy things into your life of cultivation. You know what I mean? So I know that I had to do that, and no matter what it was, some things worked and some things didn't. But the thing is that we have the free will to do that. And if this didn't work, okay, that's fine. It didn't work. I got some good insight out of it. That's some nuggets that I can throw into my recovery arsenal just in case that something comes up along in my life that I need to use that. I have it. I know it. I understand it. You know what I mean? So you cultivate things, and then if that didn't work, you cultivate something else. You just cultivate something else, and you cultivate somebody else's opinion, and go on. You just keep bringing all this stuff in. You know what I mean? And the good thing about that is that if it doesn't work for you, you just put it on the side or do like me and just throw it in that recovery arsenal and throw it in your mind and just keep it just in case and you move on to the next until you find whatever it is that works for you. But if you go and you find people who have gone through those adversities, who have gone through the things that you're having trouble with, man, that's a golden nugget for you. You know what I mean? You know, had I gone to if I tried to seek help when I was in full blown addiction, if I was trying to seek help from someone who was an expert painter and kept going every day to this painter to get help for my addiction, you know what? The probability of me getting past the addiction was going to be pretty low because this painter knows nothing about it. You know what I mean? But if I go to a room full of addicts who are sharing their stories, who are sharing the stories of conviction, who are sharing the stories of moving past, moving forward, and obtaining recovery, and this and that, and you see where I'm going with this. If I do that, well, then what are my probability of breaking the chains of that addiction are going to be pretty high. You know what I mean? They're going to be pretty high. And if I keep doing those things on a repetitive basis, man, the percentages just start going up. It's like getting a PSR rating. You know what I mean? You know, you get in that series, Naked and Afraid, when they drop somebody in a remote, dense jungle, and you know you have to stay there for 30 days and survive, and then come back, and you get a PSR rating of how well you do, to survive. It's exactly that. You know what I mean? You get a PSR rating in the things that you do to cultivate yourself into breaking those chains, into moving forward in your life. You know what I mean? So, right now, I'd like to think that my PSR rating's pretty high, man. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing things. I'm cultivating. I'm sharing. I'm learning. And it's keeping me away from a life of fearful, negative, and dark thought process. You know what I mean? And if I continue to do that, then my PSR rating stays high, and I'm able to, to move forward and to help people. You know what I mean? So it's great. I really enjoy that. But man, so cultivating, dude. That is the word of the week. Cultivating, and you might go out and cultivate you something good this week, man. Help yourself out, and part of your cultivation could be just tuning into my videos, man. I do videos. I try to do them every day to try and encourage somebody every day, because every day somebody needs encouragement. You know why? Because every day when I was in the world of addiction, I didn't stop using. Every day I picked up. You know what I mean? There wasn't a day that I didn't pick up when I was in that world. When I was in that world, every day I used. That's why I want to do a video on my podcast every day, because every day somebody needs to hear an encouraging word. So I appreciate you guys watching, man. I really do. Thank you for tuning into my video podcast. I hope that you got something encouraging today, and I'm hoping that today helped you. Hopefully, and if it didn't, maybe you could share my channel with somebody who you think may need to hear it. And at this time, if you'd please just hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, shoot me a comment if you want me to talk about anything. I'd greatly love to hear about it. And so we can talk about it on the channel. And so just know that when you do hit that subscribe button, man, it don't cost you a thing. But just know that when you do hit it, You help out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSDs, childhood traumatic experiences, depression, anger, sadness, depression, all of those types of things, my friend, suicidal thoughts, because I, my friends, have dealt with all of those things at one point in time in my life. And guess what? I know that there's a way out. So thank you for listening, man. I really appreciate it. And I guess until the next time I win the smoke clears, I am the recovery plug.